Hi everyone, this is Kyle with K-Debate. I'm going to be doing video 10 of my debate series. This one's going to be on how to respond or in what way to respond to new information that is not congruent with your current argument or your line of reasoning. When people cannot do that, when people cannot respond quickly and articulately and reasonably, most importantly, to information that you have not presented yet, then you will have a weakened argument because you are not responding directly to what they're saying. That's why research is so important on what you believe your opponent will say or the other person will say in response to what you are trying to present. And the same goes for the other side. If you say something they don't understand, how they respond to the new information is very important, especially when trying to inform a third party that might not know what either of you are talking about. And the amount of information the audience has and the amount of information the two people arguing have will not be the same. There will always be people with different information, some more, some less, and some just flat out wrong. So how do you respond quickly and reasonably to them? The first thing is to remain rational. Do not have an emotional response to information, regardless if it's true or not true. What you have to do is remain unbiased, reasonable, and calm. You can be passionate, but it's not the same thing as being uncalm. People believe that passion means you're acting on emotion. No, it's what fuels it. It's not what you are acting on. So a propulsion system as opposed to the boat kind of thing. And when you respond, when you get new information that you have not heard or you have not seen articulated in the way they use, then you have to be able to quickly, but still calmly, internalize and analyze the information. If somebody throws something so far out on left field or right field or whatever the term is, that you have no idea how to respond, then you have not done enough research, or the person responding is being so off topic that it's irrelevant. Ask them to clarify. Ask them how that statement is relevant, or just ask them something that help you to associate it better with what you're trying to talk about, such as ask them to cite the study they just quoted, or ask them to reiterate in a different way. It's not uncommon in a debate for someone to disagree simply because they do not understand. And that is not the grounds for disagreement. That is the grounds for trying to learn more. And disagreeing is dismissing. And that's not, well, not necessarily, but in that regard, it is dismissing it as irrelevant. Disagreeing that it's something that they should have said. So if I were to say, hey, these chips are great, but we were talking about, like, Cheez-Its. I have Cheez-It box over here. So if I were to say that, and he's like, well, they're not chips. And then you go off on something else, something completely unrelated to the design of the box or the history of the chips. And then you just say something that I cannot fathom why you said it. Like, it was used in human sacrifice. And it's like, is that relevant? I don't understand I don't understand. And I know that's a really stupid example, but people do things like that a lot, where it's not that exact sequence of irrational comparison or information, but it's just something that you were not expecting. It's something so far out on left field that you have no way of understanding why they said it. It might just be blatantly wrong or untrue. Maybe it's not used in human sacrifice ever. I mean, I know the wafer is used in the communion, and it's kind of a cookie that's kind of like a chip, but I don't see how that's relevant to me saying chips are tasty. But my definition of good might be different than yours. Good could be holy. Good could be morally righteous. It could be something society deems good. And that's different than what I was talking about. So you have to ask them, well, why does that relate? Why are you saying something like that? Are you trying to say that they are used in or based in something that is morally decrepit or morally damaging, okay, now I have some footing. Now I can respond. Before, I had no idea why you said that. It was just not in my train of thought, not in my thought process at all on why you said that. Now I know. Obviously, the example I gave was dumb. Obviously, it's not something you'll hear in that specific way. But I can give 1,000 random examples, and none of them would make any sense because I'm trying to make a nonsensical example. And that's not easy to do sometimes. So how do you respond to that? What I just said, you say, please clarify. I don't understand. It makes you sound like you don't know, but if you don't know, the audience probably doesn't either and would actually be thankful for that inquiry because they themselves cannot make it. To give the audience, the people that are trying to learn, the ability to have that step up in clarification. They appreciate that. There are people that just assume the audience knows everything. There are people that assume the audience knows nothing. But you have to give them the ability to understand. Because if you just throw out all this jargon and you never explain why you say it, the other person's probably not going to understand everything you say, and the audience sure as heck is not going to all understand. They're going to be like, huh? I'm not following this. It's too fast. And some people love that. Some people love to just be bombarded with facts that they don't understand. But that's like an intellectual shower. It's not something you integrate. It's something that you experience. And the emotional aspect of debate is not something that I like as a whole, as a basis for debate. I don't like that. As fuel, I love it as fuel. I love the passion people have. But I hate that they use it as their argument. I hate that they use it for the end all of debate. Because it seems to diminish what it really is, which is information, which is not based on passion. It is fueled by passion. And I will always say that. Hopefully. If I ever change, I'll change. And that's another thing about information being given to you. If something they say resonates with you so powerfully that your opinion changes, that your view of the subject you are debating changes mid-debate, that is not a failure on your part to argue properly. It is not a failure on their part in manipulating you in some fashion. It means they persuaded you. It means you were given new information, and for now at least, you have been persuaded. That is all it means. Later on, you can internalize, you can analyze, and you can progress, whether it means to revert back to what you believed before, but with new information, or whether you maintain this new idea, this new view, and go with that is undetermined as of the moment of clarity, or at the very least, insight. Those things do not mean you lost. Those things mean you have, at least now, for now, believed something in a different way or seen something in a different way. And that is never a bad thing. All you have to do is run with it. Do not just sit on it and do not quash it. Quashing information and beliefs is never good unless the idea or belief is so blatantly wrong, such as genocide or the ideas of hurting people for no reason. Those kinds of things are wrong. But generally, a debate will not be on those topics, and people will not be able to give a persuasive enough argument to sway somebody for those unless they're also a sociopath. So generally, the people that will listen to that are not good. Think of the KKK rallies, those kinds of things. But that's not a normal debate. That's more of a extremist rally that you see periodically from the New Black Panthers, the KKK. There's the skinheads. There's a lot of different groups that do that kind of thing. But generally, as a debate format as opposed to an emotional rally, they have speakers that try to pump up everybody to do something stupid. They're not the same. So you can't use those as a general basis. So anyway, responding, you have to stay calm, you have to stay understanding, but you can assimilate it. You can accept, at least for now, that what they're saying might be based off of fact, and you have to say things like, well, if that's true, I don't know if it's true. If that's true, what you just said, then this, and you go off of that. If you have no idea how to relate, ask to clarify. If they've refused to clarify, you elaborate in your thought process so the audience and the other person can see where you are going with it, and then the person can respond in a way like, well, yeah or no, and then they can explain better. But if you don't, and you just assume and respond off of your two-dimensional belief of what they just said, your ignorance, as it were, in that regard, then you can be completely wrong, or the audience can just be misinformed, and that's not what a debate is for. It's to inform. So anyway, the video is getting a little long. I'll be making another video right after this one on a similar subject, and that's it. Peace.